everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I meet you again in the lesson 5. In this lesson 5, we are going to see the challenges of Wakaf. My name is Dr. Anwar bin Alapiche from School of Management, University Science Malaysia. The challenges of Wakaf is one of the contemporary important topics that we need to really understand. Why does the practice of Wakaf is not at the satisfactory level? A lot of past study has been conducted that shows that there are a lot of issues that basically is being in the society. One of them is the confusion of Islamic social finance instrument itself. So in this lesson 5, we are going to see what are the confusion by the society. I know that all of us still thinking what will be the confusion in the society, even though we may be understand, but most of the people find that there is the confusion in terms of sadaqah, in terms of zakat, and also in of wakaf. And some of the practice by these Muslim people, they may use the terminology of wakaf, but at the same time, the what they do in the behavior does not reflect wakaf, but it is reflecting zakat or reflecting sadaqah. So in this lesson 5, we're going to see what will be the differences between sadaqah, zakat, and also wakaf. So based on the differences explanation, then we can see how does these instruments are unique to each other. Wakaf, sadaqah, and also zakat. And also they are basically complementing each other in the development of society and environment. So based on the table or diagram shows that what is the differences between sadaqah, zakat, and wakaf. Sadaqah is basically a voluntary act of charity. Meanwhile, if you look zakat, it's a form of obligatory alms giving, or zakat is basically treated as a tax in many Muslim countries. How about wakaf? Wakaf is about involve donating an asset to a trust for a charitable purposes. When we look in terms of this, what is it? Wakaf and sadaqah is basically have a similar in terms of the contract, means that sadaqah and wakaf both are voluntary. Meanwhile, zakat is compulsory compared to this between sadaqah and also wakaf. But in terms of the sadaqah, in terms of the ownership, the sadaqah is basically is given direct to an individual. Meanwhile, zakat is for the people as being stated in the Surah Taubah verses 60. There are 7 recipients of zakat. Meanwhile, wakaf is either we give for the people, does not stated directly an individual, or when the person that give wakaf for family, then it go for the purpose of the family instead of an individual. So this is what the differences in the first layer. The second is in terms of the legal. Sadaqah is meant to self-induce, no obligatory and no enforcement. It is more toward an individual intention. So it wanted to basically give something to someone who are really needed. And when we look similarly to the wakaf, because it seems that these two instruments are fall under voluntarily, so it is based on the what they call it an individual intention to give, whether you wanted to give your asset as a wakaf or as a sadaqah. Different compared to the zakat. Zakat is, as we know, that it is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it is a mandatory to those with wealth over a threshold of amount, and it is not enforceable. In terms of the accounting, it is sadaqah is based on the principal consumed, and zakat, of course, it is calculated based on a formulated treated as a tax, and wakaf is a principal never consumed. It remain in perpetuity. In accounting, when we talk about principal consumed for the sadaqah means that is the receiver or beneficiary basically can use for their needs, means it can be consumed. But in terms of the zakat, the calculation, it is similar to the tax where someone that need to pay is based on 2.5% from their net income after considering some of the element of their basic needs. Meanwhile, for wakaf, it is something that will remain perpetual, as we know that the characteristic of wakaf need to be perpetual. So it will be basically the usufra will be used by the people until the asset is destructed by itself. Means that it cannot be sold, an individual cannot use that for their personal use forever. It should be basically benefiting with others. So based on this explanation of wakaf, it is something that to show how sadaqah, zakat and wakaf should be treated differently compared to other instruments. Next, we are going to see the strong belief in debt instrument than donation instrument. There are many other challenges why does the wakaf system could not be flourished compared to other instruments such as debt. As we know that the debt become popularly practiced and accepted in the society due to the establishment of strong banking system as well as other financial institutions such as capital market, monetary market, which majorly offering a debt kind of product instead of this donation-backed instrument. The advancement in terms of the governance, advancement in terms of the regulation, advancement in terms of the infrastructure of the debt has made the third sector, which is the wakaf and zakat, could not show the best in terms of their development or in terms of their purpose to the needy people. As we know that most of the people nowadays that they are highly depend on this debt. Once they have income and based on their income, that will determine how much is the eligibility of that individual that can get borrowing from this financial institution. The financial institution basically hugely depend on this debt system in order for them to make profit from the debt. So Islamic finance is one of the solution, even though the Islamic banking is a part of the Islamic finance. Nowadays, we find that the world financial crisis has impacted the world. Even now, 2022, we do have a lot of economic and a lot of economics expected that in 2020 there will be more financial crisis due to the geopolitical issue as well as other uncertainty issue in the market. I strongly believe that wakaf is the solution, and at the moment we find that due to the inflation issue, low salary wage, and also other issue, wakaf may not be easy to be practiced because wakaf is required a lot of donation base of people, and we need a lot of big company also need to give wakaf, and the accumulation of big amount of wakaf will able to reduce the commitment which is fall under the debt. So wakaf is something that able to circulate the wealth among the people, and it is not only with the private people, but it promote the wealth should be shared with the society, and the society is basically going to benefit any of the wakaf property or wakaf asset generation by generation. So this is one of the instruments that able to break the capitalist model, and wakaf promote people to be more responsible and also always think about the benefit of the society rather than the benefit of the individual. So we believe that the strong debt instrument in the donation instrument, we need to be changed, and this require a lot of effort and intervention, especially by the government, to ensure that the economic system need to be balanced. Of course, it doesn't mean that we are going to take over the debt. we always need to make sure that the balance in terms of the monitoring instrument that able to give the best to the people according to their capacity. So with that, this is the end of lesson 5. After this, we are going to participate in an activity. Thank you very much.